You mentioned how previously in practice toxins were a big focus. You've talked about water and lawns. What other big areas, to not get overwhelmed but focus on the big ones, are toxins causing a problem with people these days?
I think most of it is probably air and food and water. But then also it's so funny. You see commercials for cleaning products. People today used to be the only thing that could clean something was actually water that would leave a surface clean. And now people think that if you don't smear a chemical on a surface, it's not clean. Right? We think that the chemicals actually clean something. They don't. They dissolve dirt and grease, but then water needs to clean the surface to be safe for us, to be clean for us. And again, I don't think that there's a single area. I just think that we need to be more aware of these things.
In the case where water's not enough, somebody cleaning at home, what can they add to that to help the cleaning value?
I don't use a lot of cleaning products. Like most of the time, I would just use a drop of dishwashing detergent and then finish up with water afterwards. So I'm not an expert on cleaning items.
I just wondered, vinegar is one of
Yeah,
the things you hear. Is that
yeah,
something you've
yeah,
had success with?
yeah. I mean, I use it occasionally. I'm not, like I said, I don't use a lot of cleaning products, but for people who do, you would do well to kind of research the low sensitive, the hypoallergenic and all that stuff, because we don't need a million different cleaning products. It's it's like the basic stuff does pretty well.
Okay, you mentioned water and filtering that. Somebody right now drinking tap water hasn't made an investment in this area. What should they look for and do?
So the two biggest thing in tap water is chlorine and fluoride. And both of those are toxins, and especially they are thyroid toxins. So people with a known thyroid problem should really watch for that. The trouble is chlorine is pretty easy. Just about any carbon filter will remove 98, 99% of it. Fluoride is very difficult to get out once it's added. And it's really sad that they put that in tap water. Yeah, that's another story. But for people who are sensitive, it's very difficult to get out of to get it out of the water. So for people who are super sensitive, I would first of all drink either bottled water or something from a carbon filter. And even better would probably be to get a reverse osmosis filter because that removes both of them completely. The argument you hear against that is that now the water is basically dead. It's almost like distilled water, and it might be missing some minerals and it doesn't have much flavor. So, but I would still, if you're sensitive and you don't really have an option to stay away from tap water, then I would get a filter, either carbon or reverse osmosis, and then you can add back some minerals. And a lot of them you're going to get, like if you have a sea salt or a pink salt or something, and you just add a little pinch, you're going to basically put back everything that was taken out.
Okay, another area you talked about when it comes to toxins, food. Organic is the obvious direction we could turn to lower that burden,
Yeah.
but is that enough?
Well, it's a good first step. The problem is organic isn't necessarily toxin free. It's just certified that they didn't add anything on purpose in the last 3 years. But you don't know what was in the soil before that. You don't know what blows in from neighboring crops. And and there's also the fact that there's regulation where a company that wants to stay in business can still source non-organic products in a reasonable amount and include in their organic product. If it's too hard to source, if it's a challenge, if it risks them going out of business or not meeting quotas or production lines, you can actually include, and it's pretty much up to your judgment, you can use other things. So I'm all for organic. I think it's ridiculous that not everything is organic, because our ancestors, it's only the last 100 years that we've had all these issues. I mean, by default, everything in nature is wild-caught fish and grass-fed beef and so forth. So it's only modern man that messes with it. But it's a great first step. It gets you in the right direction. And it's probably vastly better than the alternative. Now, I'll be very honest, I think it also depends on the type of food that you're buying and how, it's like, what's the quality of this particular batch? I buy most of my stuff organic, but if I go to the store and there's a poor little wilted head of organic lettuce next to a fresh, juicy head of romaine, I'm not going to buy the organic one. Now, you also have to keep in mind which products they use the most pesticides on. And there you go and you just Google the most recent Green 15 and Dirty Dozen, right? And if it's something like berries and I can't find organic, then I'm not going to buy it, because that's where they typically use the most pesticides. But other things like avocado and most green vegetables, they don't use a whole lot of pesticides. So there I will buy the organic if it looks good and if it's reasonably priced. Like, if even though I know I can afford it, it just irks me to pay like 6 times more for something. So then I might not buy it, or I'll buy the other one. But organic is it's a great place to start. And I think it's a good standard that we need to move toward. Absolutely.
Are you growing any of your own food?
Not yet, but I would love to.
Okay.
I would need some help first. I'm a little too busy.
There you go. Last area of insult you mentioned is air when it comes to toxins.
Yeah.
What do we do to protect our lungs?
That's the hard part, because you gotta breathe. For one thing, the indoor air is usually like 10 times worse than the outdoor air, because there's off-gassing and there's dust and there's crap in the indoor air. So it's actually a good thing to open up and let the wind blow through when you have a chance. The other thing is that you can use filters. If you're in a place where you can't keep your windows open, or you know it's pretty bad, or you're in a city or something, then it wouldn't be a bad idea at all to look into filters. And you can use a regular box fan and put a active carbon filter in it. And then there's these different ionizers and ozonators and things like that.
Since you made it to the end of this clip, I know you're going to love the full episode. Click here to watch. I'll see you over there.
High blood glucose is one part of the problem. High insulin levels is a bigger part of the problem. High glucose causes swelling, microvessel damage, blindness, but high insulin clogs up